Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to read Landscape of the Soul by Nathalie Trouveroy. A wonderful old tale is told about the painter Vudozi who lived in the 8th century. His last painting was a landscape commenced by the Tang Emperor Jianzhong to decorate a palace wall. The master had hidden his work behind a screen, so only the emperor would see it. For a long while, the emperor admired the wonderful scene, discovering forests, high mountains, waterfalls, cloud floatings in an immense sky, mans on hilly paths, birds in flight. Look, sir, said the painter, in this cave at the foot of the mountain dwells a spirit. The painter clapped his hand and the entire to the cave opened. The inside is splendid, beyond anything words can convey. Please let me show your majesty the way. The painter entered the cave, but the entrance closed behind him, and the before astonished emperor could move or utter a word. The painting had vanished from the wall. Not a trace of Wudozi's brush was left, and the artist was never seen again in this world. Such stories played an important part in China's classical education. The books of Confucius and Zhangzi are full of them. They helped the master to guide his disciple in the right direction. Beyond the anecdote, they are deeply revealing of the spirit in which art was considered. Contrast this story or another famous one about a painter who couldn't draw the eye of a dragon he had painted for fear it would fly out of the painting, with an old story from my native Flanders that I find most representative of Western paintings. In 5th century Antwerp, a master blacksmith called Quentin Metals fell in love with painter's daughter. The father would not accept a son-in-law in such a profession, so Quentin sneaked into the painter's studio and painted a fly on his latest panel with such delicate realism that the master tried to sweat it away before he realized after what had happened. Quentin was immediately admitted was as an apprentice into his studio. He married his beloved and went on to become one of the most famous painters of his age. These two stories illustrate what each form of art is trying to achieve: a perfect illusionistic likeness in Europe, the essence of inner life and spirit in Asia. In the Chinese story, the emperor commissions a painting and appreciates into outer appearance, but the artist reveals to him the true meaning of his work. The emperor may rule over the territory he has conquered, but only the artist knows the way within. Let me show you the way, the Tao, a word that means both the path or the method and the mysterious works of the universe. The painting is gone, but the artist has reached his goal beyond any material appearance. A classical Chinese landscape is not meant to reproduce an actual view, as would a Western figurative painting, whereas the European painter wants you to borrow his eyes and look at the particular landscape exactly as he saw it, from a specific angle. The Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one, and you can enter it from any point, then travel it in. The artist creates a path for your eyes to travel up and down, then back again in a leisurely movement. This is even more true in the case of the horizontal scroll, in which the action of slowly opening one section of the painting, then rolling it up to move on to the other, adds a dimension of time which is unknown in any other form of painting. It also requires the active participation of the viewer who decides at what pace he will travel through the painting, a participation which is physical as well as mental. The Chinese painter does not want you to borrow his eyes, he wants you to enter his mind. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. This concept is expressed as Sanshui, literally mountain water, which used together represent the words landscape. More than two elements of an image, this represents two complementary poles reflecting the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is yang, reaching vertically towards heaven, stable, warm, and dry in the sun, while the water is yin, horizontal, and resting on the earth, fluid, moist, and cool. The interaction of yin, the receptive feminine aspect of universal energy, and its counterpart yang, active and masculine, is of course a fundamental notion of Taoism. What is often overlooked is an essential third element, the middle void where their interaction takes place. This can be compared with the yogic practice of pranayama. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe out. The suspension of breath is the void where meditation occurs. The middle void is essential, nothing can happen without it. Hence the importance of the white unpainted space in Chinese landscape. This is also where man finds a fundamental role. In that space between heaven and earth, he always becomes the conduit of communication between both poles of the universe. His presence is essential, even if it's only suggested, far from being lost or opposed by the lofty peaks. He is in Francois Chang's wonderful expression, the eye of the landscape. Excerpt from Landscape of the Soul, Ethics and Spiritually in Chinese Painting, slightly edited. Getting inside outsider art. When French painter Jean Dubuffet mooted the concept of art brought in the 1940s, the art of the untrained visionary ways of the minority interest. From this almost world beginnings, outsider art has gradually become the fastest growing area of interest in contemporary art internationally. This genre is described as the art of those who have no right to be artists, as they have reached no formal training, yet show talent and artistic insight. Their works are a stimulating contrast to a lot of mainstream offspring. Around the time Dubuffet was propounding his concept in India, an untutored genius was creating paradise. Years ago, the little patch of jungle that he began clearing to make himself a garden sculpted with stone and recycled material is known to the world today as the Rock Garden at Chandigarh. Its 80 years old creator director Nek Chand is now hailed as India's biggest contributor to outsider art. The 50th issue to spring 2005 of Raw Vision, a UK-based magazine pioneer in outsider art publications, features Nek Chand and his rock garden sculpture Woman by the Waterfall on its anniversary issue's cover. The notion of art broad or raw art was of works that were in their raw state as regards cultural and artistic influence. Anything and everything from a tin to a sink to a broken down car could be material for a work of art, something Nek Chand was taken to dizzying heights, recognizing his art as an outstanding testimony of the difference his art as a different single man can make when he lives his dream. The Swiss Communications for UNESCO will be honoring him the way of a European expositions of his work. The fifth month by way of a European exposition of his work, the fifth month interactive show, Realm of Nek Chand beginning October, will be held at a leading museums in Switzerland, Belgium, France and Italy. The biggest reward is walking through the garden and seeing people enjoying my creation, Nexian says. Brenda Suri, Hindustan Times, 28 August 2005. So that's all for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video.